Yeah, recording has started. And what I was going to do is basically just talk about where we are in the project and then go into the digitizing of the North Kitchen. There's been, the North Kitchen is, like I mentioned before, is kind of a hard project to begin labeling and digitizing because it's such a it was such a weird project with the with not beginning with topsoil, but beginning the excavations after a building was torn down and jackhammering the concrete. So it's, you know, it's the only site like this. It's more like an urban site rather than a site you normally find at Montpelier. But we need to get it digitized, and we'll muscle our way through it. But what I've done is morning, Dean. How are you?
Hi.
Or afternoon. And hey, Margaret, good to see you.
Hello.
So what I'll do is I was going to go over the where we are with the relabeling. So I'm going to go ahead and share. And first, before I start, does anybody have any questions or comments to begin with? Sounds like that's a no. Okay, that's great. So, and what I'll do is I'll go. Oh, did you have something, Dean? Oh, you're muted, Dean. You're muted, Dean.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I don't have a question. I was just switching to gallery view.
Cool. Sounds good. That was a gesticulating.
Yeah, I've got an iPad here, so you know it works a little differently than the others. But anyway.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if anybody has an iPad that they can use with a laptop, actually the iPad works better with the mapping software, because there's actually an app you can download called Field Maps, and then you can actually use that to zoom way into the image, so you can have the unit fill the screen, which is really nice. With even a tablet, the Field Maps is an app that you can use. With the PC or the Windows version of the Field app, you can't zoom in only so far. Terry figured out a way to optimize it, so we've been able to zoom in a little bit better, but it's still, you know, you got like about 10 units in the square in your screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share screens with you all. Let's see, share here, and I am going to go into the non-logged in version. And so here we are at the North Kitchen. Can you all see this?
Yes.
You can see the share screen over here. It's the North Kitchen folder.
Yes, but it doesn't look like the North Kitchen. It's mountains and a letter, an email.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we see your email stream. We don't see the
Yeah.
actual software.
Oh, all right. Let me stop share then.
Yeah.
And try share screen. Screen one, share. Your screen sharing. And now what do you see?
Same thing, your email with the mountain wallpaper.
All right, how about now?
And two of my emails.
Can you see it now?
No,
Yep, now
now
we're good. We see the
now we got the North
yes.
Kitchen files.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We're on the right one. For some
Yeah.
reason, it's yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. It's so you can see the North Kitchen here with the completed digitized, problems digitized, and then folders 3 and 4. You can see that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. What I've done is basically the relabeling process has been completed. And so I've moved all the relabeled folders into the root folder, and these are already digitized at this point. So MT1476, this unit has all the files labeled, and it's ready to digitize. And as you digitize these, what you'll do is you'll move them into, for example, you'll move them into complete when it's done. And then for those of y'all that have some remaining items to be labeled, I've scooted all those into the number 3 folder, which is problems. And this has a bunch of folders that still need to be completed. And there's some that might be complete. So if you have one in here that you've worked on it and it is complete, what you can do is you can scoot it out. So if we go to problems, these relabeled to be finished, what you can do is 1514, if that's done, you can just move it up to North Kitchen and it'll be done. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and if you have any problems with that, let me know. It's kind of, when there's no folder here, it can be a little confusing. So actually, I'm going to make a new folder here. New folder. I'm just going to say completed. Why don't we do this? And then you can scoot it into this one. That would be easier because that way it's actually a folder in the folder and you could just move it to completed. And then I'll move these out later. So, let me move this guy back out. And if anybody has any questions about this, you could Slack me on that. So for the North Kitchen, basically what we've got is what we're ready to do is to go into the starting the digitizing process, and all these folders are ready to begin. And for the digitizing, y'all might remember, we've got the guide for digitizing and transcribing unit strat. You just open up this Google Doc right here, and this basically has all the instructions. And I'm actually gonna change this guy out because that's an older version from a couple of months ago. But the steps are, basically go to the North Kitchen folder right here. And I need to put a link on that one. I'll get that one fixed.
Yeah.
Let me do that right now. Get link, copy link, done. There. So now when we go to the North Kitchen right here and we click on this guy, it opens up the folder. And this has, all the guys that are ready to be digitized. And what you need to do is first open up the unit Google sheet. So for the North Kitchen, that's this one. And what you'll want to do is, again, check the purveyance to make sure, all the associated records are there. And you're going to use the Google sheet as the master label. And this process has already been started in the relabeling, because that's how you labeled each individual file when you did the relabeling process. And you're going to use the same purveyance when you do the transcribing and enter it into the ArcGIS, into the GIS map. So what we're going to do is, we will MT633, this unit right here is just a problem folder I'm going to need to work on. So I'm moving it to problems already because there's no cards on that one. And it's for a unit that was excavated in 2002, and there's strata cards that still have yet to be scanned. I think the scanner had those and they never scanned them. So I need to get those and rescan. But we're going to go with 1476.
Matt, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, absolutely, Margaret.
So in terms of, I might have missed this from the last time, but for folders that are really problematic, is it that one of the strats is missing like a card or a photo, or it's not appearing in that provenience list, does that make it problematic, or is it just noting that on the provenience sheet, but everything else is fine, and then that goes into completed?
I move that to the problems folder
Okay.
because it's something we want to address before we download everything and go to the next step. So that's the really nice thing about the problems folder. I mean, with the North Kitchen, this one, like the problems relabel, this is a whole lot I need to go through, and I'm actually going to see if I can get one of the staff to go through these as a first draft, just to see if there's things that are actual problems or it's just like a in progress photo or an in situ photo that needs to be relabeled. And so we'll go through and check these, and as folks finish these, like as either Jennifer or Nathaniel finish these, I'm gonna have them move it into the completed, and I'll do a final check on it. But yeah, in general, that's the process, is to add it to the Google Sheet as a problem, and then move it into the problems folder, like in this case, digitize, and then just drop me a note in Slack, and I'll make a judgment call on it. So, and what kind of ideally what I'd like to do, Margaret, is to answer the question in Slack, and then have you all go back in and finish it and complete it, and then resolve it yourselves, because that's the most efficient. And that way you all get the swing of what some of the variations are, and there'll be more and more information that you all have in your heads about how to do it. So and so that's where, if anybody has any problems for relabeling, go back to this folder and look for ones that were yours, and if you've got them, if you think they're answered, just move it to the completed and we'll be good. So for North Kitchen, if we go to MT 1476, this has, and I'm going to put this to the tile view so we can see all these. This has, all the stratum A, B, C, D, D1, D2, E, and there's photos for all these, and then the features. So what we're going to be digitizing for this one is basically letters A all the way through F, and these feature ones are just ones that we won't need to worry about. We're just doing the actually, these are stratum F. These are stratum F in progress. So that's looks like this unit was ended with this as it is right there. So what we'll do next is go to the Google Sheet, and we're going to look up MT 1476. And you can just use the digitizing guide is like your list of tasks to do. And so we're going to go down to MT 1476. And you can see right here, it looks like this is one who started out labeling with the last training. And we can go ahead and transcribe this. So I'm going to put in my initials here again. And who's MEM? Is that, I'm trying to remember who that is. Oh, Megan. I think it's Megan. So, but I'm going to put my initials in here, and then we'll, it's 1476.a. So we'll go back to this, and, most of them are going to be pretty straightforward, where you just put your initials in, and you're going to use the Google Sheet as the master label. And one thing that you can do before digitizing is become familiar with your with a unit. Let's see, is that you, Chris? Hey.
Reload it. I think I fixed it. Sorry.
Oh, you fixed it.
I think I fixed it.
Cool. Hey,
sorry.
Hey, put your face in there again, Chris. Chris just popped in. He fixed the problem with the GIS map. So
yeah, reload it just to make sure, but I think I got it.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Bye. All right. So what's good to do is basically go through these cards and just get familiar with them. So This is stratum A. It was below strat O, which doesn't have a card because that was, is there a strat O in this? Yeah, there's no strat O listed in this. I think strat O is just considered the rubble from the building. And you can see all these descriptions, the soil color, the texture, and this is all the information you're going to be entering as you get into the digitizing process and the transcriptions. And this has the how the stratum relate to each other. Stratum A is below 0 and it's above B, C, and D. And then when you look at this drawing right here, you can see this is the bottom of A, and it came down to B, C, and D. And when you look at the opening photo for A, you can see that A is all across the unit. And so usually the cards, as I remember, have the opening drawing. Yeah, what do the cards usually have? Is it the opening drawing or the closing?
I always thought it was the opening.
I always thought it was the opening
Me
too.
too.
Yeah, this is why this one's a little confusing because usually it's the opening drawing, but this is the closing because it's come down into B, C, and D. And you can tell that by the drawing, but also by in this description right here, it comes down to B, C, and D. So when they took off A, basically all of these different stratum are here. And how you know that A went across the unit is in this opening photo. A is everything. So A is bits of concrete from the destruction of the building. And basically it's all the stuff that needs to be cleaned off. And then when you get to stratum B, which is below A in this card, you can see the opening of B. You've got B, which is all this, and then you've got C and D, which is this this feature right here. So B is what comes off after A. And then you know, you can keep on going through the cards. Stratum C was excavated, and it's contemporaneous with B. And yeah, it looks like they were doing closing for all these cards. And stratum B came down to C, which is this area right here. And C is, okay, this one shows the opening of C because it shows C being all this area right here. And when we get into digitizing this, we'll talk about how to handle the fact that you've got this area in the middle that you can't really draw in because you can't, you
can't draw that E.
You can't draw E. Yeah. And so C is just going to be, when you draw C, it's going to be this area right in here. And it's just going to, we can't let perfect be the enemy of good in this process. And just do the best that you can.
If you connected D and E at one point, you could get them all in there.
That's pretty tricky with the app. I wouldn't bother. What we'll do is we'll go back and fix this when we do the finalizing of these records, when staff does this next year in Art Pro, because you need the full version of Art Pro to really edit these in a proper way. But what's the big help is getting all this stuff transcribed. That's where, you know, you all are doing the lion's share of the work with all this, and it's a huge help. So, but let's get into this. Let's start digitizing. So we're going to start out with stratum A here, and stratum A is listed as MT 1476A. And what we'll do is, you know, another thing you can do is check your sheet and understand how everything was excavated before you start digitizing, so you know kind of the history of the unit. And then I've got the stratum guide. This is for 2007. I'm going to find the one for 2009 and put it in here. So you'll have what was the stratum guide for the 2009 season here, and I'll update this. But to get to the web map, what you'll want to do is click on this link right here, and this is going to take you to the web map. And to find the unit you're working in, you know, what you'll do is get over to where the North Kitchen is, and here's all the units of the North Kitchen. And to find the unit you're working on, we're working on MT1476. Click on Map Tools. They're really Esri keeps changing the menus on this, and it really irks me because it took me a half an hour to find this. I was going to have other things done, but I spent a half an hour looking for the search tool. It's under More Tools, and then there's Search. So I think they're trying to drive people insane. I really do. So and next week they'll probably change it again. So don't feel like you're losing your mind. Esri is just improving things for the users. So click on Search, and what we're going to do is put in 1476 and hit enter, and it takes us to 1476. And then what we'll want to do is you'll want to go to edit, and we're going to create a layer or a polygon in OR 249 stratum form bunker. So you'll click on this, and then we're ready to digitize. And for digitizing this, to know, you know, what part of the units it's in, this is where we go to usually your stratum A card, but this has the bottom of stratum A, so you don't know what was excavated unless you go to your opening photo, and you can see in this the letter A. A is everything, and this is kind of the default. If you have any doubts about what was excavated, just draw in the whole square and the world won't end. It'll be fine. So in this case, it's all of this unit. And what I'm going to do is go back to this right here, and we're going to draw in the whole unit and try to get as close as you can to the corners. And you'll see it turns green. And when you're done, you double click and you've got your polygon. This is all the stratum. And don't worry about trying to, technically there are bulks. Don't worry about that. Just draw it to the nails and that'll be fine. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start entering all this information right here. And for that, there under this guide for digitizing, we've got the form right here with all the fields numbered. And then this illustrated key is right here. This list right here is the list of all of the fields that are right here. So when you look at this, you can see that number 1 is found right here. So this is MT1334, B, and this is just the example card that's being used. This is from the Fence Line Grotto. But what you'll want to do is go to your card for stratum A, because we're going to do the first card, and you can see it's MT1476 stratum A, and you'll begin putting this information in. So it's 1476, and the stratum is A, and we want to use the stratum that's listed on this. And what we'll do is it's just listed as A. So even if on the card it was shown as, say, A1, and we've labeled it as A because the Google Sheet has A, you're going to want to use this same label here in the map digitizing. So that's why we're calling this one A. There's no feature. The project is DuPont Kitchen, and you'll just type that straight in. Let me see if, and I might not have put in some of these other the site and area. So it's DuPont Kitchen, and DuPont technically is a lowercase d. So this is that branch of the DuPont family. The site is OR249. And then the area, yeah, I need to add North Kitchen to this. So I'm going to make a note to myself to add North Kitchen. So I'll add North Kitchen to this list. Whenever you all start it, North Kitchen will be there. And oh God, what have I done? I just clicked out of this. This is a good example of what happens. Something bizarre has happened. All right, well, I hit the wrong key and it disappeared. So we'll begin all over again with this one. And one thing about doing digitizing, if you accidentally digitize a polygon out here and you want to delete it, you can either just hit escape and it'll disappear. Like that's what I just did now. Or just let me know and I can go back and delete it. So if you want to practice and make some polygons out here just to play with it, feel free. You're not going to break anything. And if you accidentally create polygons that you don't want where the unit is and you need help, that's what Slack is for, and we can help you out. So the nice thing about this is it's pretty hard to break stuff. So if you wanted to go in and try to delete things, I'm sure you could figure a way to do that, but don't do that. So
Hey, Matt, the previous version would still, you could go back, it was saved. So you're saying now what you just did, all that information is not saved any longer?
It didn't save because you have to hit save on it. So there's no green here.
Right.
That means it's gone. So I'm going to go in and create another one. Create this A polygon again for the stratum A right here. And double click, and then this comes up. So it's MT 1476. Stratum A, there's no feature. The project is
If there was a feature reference on the card in the associated feature box, would you put that in the feature field?
Yeah, put that in the feature field. If this was the stratum C, for example, was fill within a feature, you'd want to put that in the feature field. Absolutely. And we'll get to that. I think there's some examples of that here. And then the area, this will be North Kitchen. Location will be North Kitchen. I'll go back and fill that in. The northing and the easting is for the unit. So we'll go back to here. And this northing and easting is right here. North 671, east 764.5. And this is where it's really helpful to have like a split screen. And I'm gonna do this like so you can see both at the same time. So in this case, we got the card right here. You could either have two screens, or you could have your iPad with either the unit information or your tablet, and then your desktop or laptop has the stuff for data entering. Either way, you figure out what works best for you. The northing in this is 671.5. Easting is, and this is coming from here, the location, 764.5. 764.5. And then the datum, northing and easting, is this one right here. 667, it looks like 667, and then the easting is 759.5. 759.5. And usually sometimes the datum will be drawn in on the card, but it looks like it hasn't been here. And also, just so you know, this map right here, they have north to the right, which is a real pet peeve of mine. It makes me want to scream. North should always be up because that's how I've got your map or your map over here oriented. Like Yeah, you got to turn it, and then you're doing mental gymnastics when something's confusing, because this is the one that will be very confusing. You want to lose your mind. So, yay, fun time. So, so we got the date of northing and easting entered. The date opened is 7/31/08. So 7/31/08, and then just the time doesn't matter. The thickness, this is where you figure out what the thickness range is. It's from this is no difference in the opening and closing elevations. So put what's there. I don't know. That's I think what this is stratum A is a cleaning pass of all this debris, and not much was taken off. So when they measured it, you know, you had your line level and your ruler, and basically there was no change because they just took all the concrete bits off. So it was like almost like just a cleaning pass. So do what's on the card. I mean, you can't just do it. And so usually if it was 0.22 to 0.32, and then that's like 1/10 of a foot, and then 0.23 to 0.83, that would be 6/10 of a foot. If those are the minimum and maximum ranges, that's what you put for the thickness, minimum maximum ranges. And remember, in the guide for digitizing, all this stuff is described right here. So your thickness, number 13, which is this one right here, is a range from the smallest and largest differences between the opening and closing elevations. So going back to the card right here, trowel percentages, this is what was used for excavating, and for this one, 14, 15, 16, 17 is all these categories, and you can see on this one right here, this stuff is described. Here it is right here, is tools, and tools is trowels and spoons, and spoons would be like small tools. So trowel, put 50%, shovel is none, mattocks is none, and the other is spoons, small tools. Oops, 50. And then screening type is, if you go to your guide right here, the screening type is number 18, which is a pull down menu. And you can see that that is under tools. And again, it's dry screen. So that's what all these are, is the reference where to find it on the sheet. And in this case, nothing's listed. So usually that means it's just dry 1/4 inch screen. That's the default. And I should just make that the default value. Excavation type is whether it's arbitrary or stratigraphic. And for that one, your excavation type is number 19, and that is found right here, arbitrary or stratigraphic. And for this card, you can see it's stratigraphic. So you put stratigraphic, and most things are going to be stratigraphic. The only time you get an arbitrary level is like if we dig a level that's more than, say, 1/2 a foot, we'll break it into 2 levels. That's arbitrary, means we just call it arbitrary at a certain depth, and the next one, like B1 to B2, it's the same strata. We've just broken it into 2 levels arbitrarily. And so this one is stratigraphic. And one thing, the guide, the excavation guide, goes into describing all of these categories. So this is what, when you look at your guide for excavation, this strata guide right here, this one is guide to completing stratigraphic sheets. This is what we used that season to fill out this sheet. And so this, talks about the entire process. So it's really good to review this because it'll give you an idea of what all these categories are. And so yeah, this one, and go back to the stratum sheet right here. So this physical above and below, physical below, this is what strata is this layer physically below. And so this one is field number 1. And if you look at your guide, this is the physical below. This is 21 and 22. And where is that one? Yeah, next stratum and the relationship below A. So physical below is this one right here. And so this is stratum A. And what's it below is number 22, which is C. So that's C. Does that make sense? Because it's
You just listed it off, the example. on
oh
that.
shoot,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's the wrong
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, that's bad. There we go. So what it is like below 0. So below 0. And then I swear that was a trick question to see if y'all caught that. And everybody had like a squirrely look, like Matt's lost his mind. He's using the example. And then next stratum is B, and that is B right there. Compaction is this
Would
category.
you put all 3 of those?
Yeah,
for-
that's what I was going to say. Shouldn't you put B, C, D?
Oh no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Because next stratum is,
it's above B, C, D.
yeah, it's a good question because put that, but also check, because sometimes things change. Like when you excavate B, what we thought was going to be where C was, it turns out that B is on top of C. And so, but I'm with you. I would put B, C, and D, but just keep track of what happens in the cards and just see if that changes. Because
But
when this was excavated, we didn't know what was going to happen. And sometimes we don't go back and change those sheets.
But
But
if that
Matt, you-
picture- hey,
you
Matt, if
told
that
us
picture-
when it,
Go ahead, Peggy.
I was going to say, what I have done in the past, when in doubt, we go by what's written, because that's what you want us to transcribe, right? What is written there?
Yeah. And
Right.
in this case, it's what's written is there's 2 different versions. You've got
Yeah,
next
true.
stratum, which is B, but then you've got this matrix right here that says B, C, and D.
Yeah,
right.
but if you go back to your picture of A, if it lists B, and if it lists B, C, and D, then it was obvious that they knew that.
Right.
So then that would kind of help you. But if they didn't show C and D on that, then you would just list B. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
I think there is no technically right or wrong answer with this. Use your best judgment. And if you have questions, just ask on Slack. But to tell you the truth, I might do this differently. If I did this today and then I did it tomorrow morning at 4 a.m, I might do it differently. But either way, it's
Sure.
not going to be the end of the world. So
Right.
don't sweat it. So
Well, and you know more than we do. So you have a deeper perspective that I don't. So I want to just pretty much stick with transcribe what's on the sheet.
yeah,
Leave the
yeah.
analysis to someone like you to look at it later and say, wait a minute, that doesn't quite jive.
And there's some
Yeah.
variables that we want to have tightly defined. And if we wanted to have this be a single answer, that's where we do a pull down and it restricts your answer. And in this
Right.
case,
Okay.
this is, something where you could put in multiple things. And so there's some flexibility with that. These ones that are text fields, they're text fields because there's multiple ways to
for
do
that
it.
reason. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
So the compaction, this is number 2, and this should be friable, and we can see that's on there. Color for this one, again, you can go back to your sheet here, and we can see, you know, 20 color, hue, and chroma, 24, 25, and 26. All this is right here, 24, 25, and 26. And we that is all right here, 7.5 YR46. So the color is the strong brown. A lot of different things here. Strong. And there's a misspelling. I need to delete that one. Let's use the correct one, not strong brown, but strong brown. And this, because that menu is so long, it pulled us down. The hue is going to be 7.5 YR, 7.5 YR, and then the chroma is 4/6. And the texture is a silty sand. Little what? All right, that you all know how this goes. The one I do an example of, there it's not listed. So, oh, this kills me. Silty sand. I'm going to add this one to the list. For right now, I'm just going to put I'm going to put just silt. And I'll go back and correct this one. That's an error there. I need to correct it. Make sure this doesn't, no, it's not, it's at the bottom of the list there. So silt, stone inclusions, this is going to come from your stone inclusions is number 28. And on the sheet, you can see that's right here, inclusions. You know, you just have to read this and then put it in here. So with this guy, your inclusions are a whole bunch of stuff. 60%, and this is where before you enter it, it's just good to read it. So, and then remember, you've got stone inclusions, architectural inclusions, and sediment inclusions. And this is where you need to use your, not artificial intelligence, but native intelligence to sort through all this stuff. So it's 60% 20th century building rubble, 20% clay clods, 2.1 of YR, 3/4 dusky red, with flecks of charred wood, brick, sand, and yellow sand clumps. So what we'll do with this is doesn't look like there's any stone inclusions whatsoever. So just put not applicable. Architectural inclusions is 60%. 20th century building rubble.
Matt,
Yes.
may I ask? I thought before we specifically were to put the words no stone inclusions, no architectural inclusions, no sediment inclusions. That's what we were told before.
Let's see. Oh, there it is right there. Thank you for keeping me. This is why you're
Yeah.
on here, Peggy, and everybody else. You're keeping me honest. So, and actually, this is the great thing about this. You all have more reps on this than I do.
Yeah.
Like literally, you all have done way more than I have on this. So I want to keep consistent with what you all are doing. So in this case, you're absolutely right. On this form, no stone.
Yeah, because every time I go, why do I have to type out the whole thing?
Right, right.
But I do. So, okay.
And then for architectural inclusions, I would say, you know, put in flecking of brick. with flecking of brick, because that's an architectural.
And the building rubble, isn't
I
that
thought
architectural?
flecking could be sedimentary.
Yeah, I thought flecking was sediment. Same thing.
It could go
We-
both ways. It really could
But
go
the-
both ways.
Yeah.
The 60% 20th century building rubble, that's definitely architectural, right?
It is,
And-
but technically your brick
Oh.
flecking is architectural rubble too.
Oh,
And so
okay,
really, as long as you have it in one of them, it's good.
okay.
So
All
just to, keep, I'll do it the way you said, Peggy. And it'll all be in there, seriously.
Right.
So
How about putting it in, could you put it in both, the flecking? Could you put it?
I've
in
done that
architectural?
before too. I put
Or
it
is
in
that-
both when
is
I
that
was in doubt.
too-
I'd rather put it in one, because
Put it in
otherwise
one.
it gets
Okay.
repetitious. Because we're going to make this into a summary, and it'd rather just be in one. So as long as you have it in one, that's all that matters. So the sediment inclusions, this will be so 20%.
The clay clods that are defined by color, by chroma, and then the fleckings, and then the sand clumps, right?
Right. 2.5 YR/3 dusky red with flecking of colored wood, brick, and sand, yellow sand clump. And like you were saying, Peggy, put in directly what was put as a singular clump. Just put, I think it was meant there is one yellow sand clump. We'll go with the benefit of it out there.
Oh, okay. Oh, clump. I'm sorry. I thought it said clumps.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's singular there. And so the
Okay.
transition for this is, oh Lord, it looks like it's clear. And then something red clay across most of unit with a section of yellow sand, brown, and loam soil. So it's clear. And then
Looks like
transition.
hard red clay to me.
Oh, that is hard red clay.
Yeah.
And it looks like,
Across most of unit with a section of yellow sand and brown
yeah.
loamier soil.
And all that is going to go into the transition description, but the transition shape, this is what the what that surface was like, and whether it's smooth, wavy, irregular, broken, or no value. In this case, there's no value, so just put in no value because it's not listed, and that's fine. And then the transition description, that's where you'll type all this in. So hard red clay across most of unit with a section of yellow sand and brown loamier soil. And then interpretation, this is number 33, which can be found. Where is 30? There it is right there, your interpretation. So in this case, your interpretation, deconstruction rubble. So deconstruction rubble. And this is from the demolition of the North Kitchen that happened in 2008. And then the site stratum. Oh, where is that listed? Oh, there it is right there, 1051. 1051. And then any discussion, this comes from number 20, line 20, which is right here, your discussion. And there's nothing there. So, and in that case, if there's
Matt,
no,
how about the information that's in other on line 10? That's what I would put in there as discussion, where it says southern half of unit has most of the silt and the clay clod. See? number 10, I would put that in discussion when left to my own devices.
Yeah, I've got that. Let's see, I've got that as line 56.
Oh,
That's
under
how it says
notes?
here, under notes.
okay.
And really, again,
It can go either place, right?
it could go either place.
Yeah.
There,
Okay.
there will be no lives lost if it goes
Yeah.
in one line or the other. So,
Right. Yeah, I
um,
think we talked about that previously. Yeah.
yeah. So just you can leave discussion blank. And then the fines, these are the counts. Then you want to put in 0 if none are listed. This is these counts that are right here. So bone is 1. Ceramic is 8. And you just kind of pick through these. Glass is 5. Oh, nail is, oops, I don't want negative. Nail is 2. And then the rest of this you can leave as 0. Arc mat is 0. And then artifact notes, you could say 2 pieces of phyllite and slate. And then additional photos taken. It doesn't look like there's any additional photos taken other than opening, so you don't need to put that in there. The initials excavated, that's right here, which is
Under photos, don't you have to say taken from the west?
Yeah, you have to say taken from west.
oh, additional photos taken. Let's see.
It's not additional photos,
No,
but I
it's
always
just-
put in,
We always put in taken from west or taken from south or,
Oh, and list the direction
right.
circled on the form. Yes, thank you. So this one is, oh yeah, taken from, and y'all usually type in taken from west?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, from west. Perfect. Thank you all.
And then if you didn't put that in there, that information would not be transferred from the field card to the digital card.
Right.
It wouldn't.
So
Yeah, you're right.
that would be the rationale for putting it in, I think.
And
Right.
the rationale for you all saying this is keeping me honest. So thank you. So this is a group effort. And then the excavator is KES/CMR. And the recorder is KES/CMR. And then the supervisor.
It's never on there.
Never
I
under-
always put none recorded. Because
I just
I'm
leave it
assuming
blank.
I'm assuming there was a supervisor,
Yeah, there would have been. Yeah.
but it's not, the
Just leave it
person's
blank.
initials were not recorded for whatever reason.
Yeah, that works. Either a blank or none recorded. Because
Yeah.
what we can do is we're going to go back, and if things are blank, we'll probably just change that for none recorded. We're going to standardize a lot of this later. So environmental samples, these are all the inventory numbers, and this is on the page right here. So for the dry 1/4 inch, this is the artifact one. So
Yeah.
this is 12986, 12986. And this is where, the arc mat, there's no other samples that were taken. And for these guys,
We put none,
just-
NONE in
you put
every one.
none.
NONE in every one,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I do.
Isn't that
too.
what everybody's doing? Yeah.
Yep,
Awesome.
none.
And then do you all check your stratum, your sheet right here to make sure?
Yes.
Yes.
Double
That's
check that. I do
Yeah.
that first and write it down on a piece
Yeah.
of paper
and
so I
then
have it in
if
front of
they-
me.
If they don't match up, then you need to put a comment.
Then
in
you
the
write a
Google
note.
sheet.
Under
Yeah, you write a
digitizing
note
this.
on the Google sheet.
Perfect. Yeah. The nice thing about this is we're gonna be able to go back and correct our inventory numbers. There's some that have been wrong for over a decade, and this is a really important part of this for getting this right.
That reminds me, oh. I'm
I just
sorry.
want to say, can you confirm that you do put just the numbers that are on the card? You don't add them, like if they're missing and they're on the Google sheet, you don't add them in.
Put the numbers that are on the card and then make a note in here that
Google
these
sheet.
others were not listed. And that'll be
Okay,
something
'cause-
we'll have to go back and check.
Because when I did the labeling, I had a couple units where they didn't put any of the numbers on the card.
Mm,
The card was
I
blank.
remember that, Beth. Yeah. And what you'll need to do is in here, put in none
So just put it
listed
in
on
there.
card.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I've encountered, Matt, is I always do look at the summary sheet for each unit before I begin.
Mm,
And
oh,
I have
thank you.
found-
Yeah.
And I have
Hmm.
found discrepancies where the bag numbers listed on the summary sheet do not match the bag numbers listed on the Google sheet, or they do not match the ones on the Strat card. And if that's the case, I wrote notes about that also on the
Mhm.
Google sheet. Although I don't know if we're ever going to do anything with those summary sheets, but I'm assuming somewhere in the future, they're going to get digitized too, also, right?
Yeah, the summary sheets, we have not made a decision on that, but that would
Okay.
be done in the future. That would be another, a separate feature class from the unit stratum. So,
So
and-
should we look at the summary sheets? I found them helpful, especially for drawing the shapes of each
Yeah.
strat a lot of times.
looking at the
but-
unit summary form is good. This gives a history
Yeah.
of how things were excavated.
Right, it gives you the progression, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. That progression of how things are excavated. Exactly. Exactly what I was going to say. But if there's information on this sheet that doesn't match, like you have all these samples
Right.
right here. If
The
it doesn't
bag numbers were
match,
all wrong. Yeah,
yeah, then don't worry. Just put what's on the stratum sheet. Because like you said,
Okay.
Peggy, what we're doing in this process is it's a direct transcription of the stratum sheet right here.
okay. And the
So-
summary sheets will get dealt with later. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
So we're going to continue to put none in these. And then the gallons excavated are, it's listed here, 37 gallons, 37. And then notes. This is notes, any information that has not been entered onto a field. And so the most common is number of buckets screened. So basically anything that you didn't find a place for, put it under notes. That's a catch-all. And just basically, so like what you were saying,
Up in item 10, yeah.
Matt,
yeah,
one thing that always goes in notes is the condition,
Yes,
which is up on the line, which is, which
Yeah.
unfortunately it's not in the order, but that's one that always gets in there because if there's
Yeah.
that one always goes in there. So,
Right.
oh, okay.
I always do that too,
Temperature,
Kathy.
weather.
yeah,
Yeah, the hot, humid, right.
yeah, the hot, humid, yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. So, and I will put under notes, add.
And then sometimes, I should say this too, if you go to look below the map on the last page, sometimes there are notes down there and other
Oh, yeah.
comments, and
Yeah.
I will throw those in 56 also.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Or they might be
Anything-
part of the description.
Right,
yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're part of the description or.
yeah,
And sometimes in the good old days when you didn't have enough space when you're doing some other things, if you have a very lengthy description of
Mhm.
something else, you would have to go there. But it seems like the last areas we're going there, we didn't have to do that because
Yeah.
the form is different now,
Mhm.
but
Mhm. Yeah, this form is developed for the forms we're using right now, which is nice. The old stratum cards are kind of it was adapting this to it. And then these ones I'd say are some of the most important information to get correct. The unit form, opening photo, and plan view. These are the strat card. These are the file names from the relabeling process. And for this, for example, the stratum card is this one right here. So how I like to do this one is if you click on this name right here, it'll bring the name up, and you can either right click and copy or Control C and then hit cancel. And then you can place the unit form right in there. Just paste it in. And that way the exact file name will be here. And then we're going to use this to build the URL that'll link the file of the stratum card to this entry right here. And if you go through some of the examples from the basement, you can see where, you know, these cards come up with the exact file name. And so the same thing with the opening photo. For the opening photo, you'd go back to, this is the opening photo right here, and you bring this up, click on this name, copy this whole name right here, hit cancel, and then you can paste this in. And then if there's a plan view, usually there isn't, but if there is a plan view, put that in the same way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Matt,
Yeah.
can I suggest something too? What I
Yeah.
do is when I start a folder, I just create a little Word doc and I go through and I copy and paste all the things that I need to go in. So I have that as another document rather than going back to the actual things. And then, you know, and as I
Yeah.
cut them off, I delete them. So then, you know, you use them, but that
Nice.
saves you
Oh,
the time of going back and forth. You just create a whole doc and then you want all those things exact and you just copy
right
and paste them
there.
one time and you have them all ready to
oh,
go.
that makes so much sense.
And then
Thanks,
if you don't
Kathy.
have one, do you write missing or none? So you put them in order. You have 3 things. And if you don't have it, you
Yeah.
have missing or none. So it's
So-
a nice,
Oh, that's
Good way.
good. That's
And-
helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, this one will be none. And
Right.
I forgot about the missing or none. If for some reason there was no opening photo, that should be missing
Missing.
because everything should have an opening photo.
right,
And
right.
so that'll clue us in that we need to go back, but none, you know, plan view map, usually it's
Yeah,
not.
unless it's a
Right.
feature,
Unless a feature.
unless
Yeah.
it's a feature, and then that
Right.
would be.
Mhm.
Then it would be missing. Yeah.
It'd be missing, yeah. And for the plan view for the feature, you know, it would be basically either the opening plan view, or if there's no opening, it's the closing, put that in. So just so it's referenced. And then the creation date is today's
Today.
date.
Yeah.
And usually that pops up.
Usually it comes up to a calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, I'll put in 4/6/2022, and then the time
That's
is,
automatic.
you just have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
and then the creator is MBR,
Yeah.
and then hit create.
Yay.
Yay, and then it's
Yeah,
done.
woo.
And now you can
I'll
go
just try
back.
that to get out of
Another one bites the dust.
Here it is, all right here, all entered in. So yeah, if these, how long does it usually take you all to do an entry, like for one entry?
20
Oh,
minutes, depending.
But-
yeah.
Okay,
It depends
yeah,
how
so-
complex, you know.
Right.
so I
20
go
or
ahead
longer. Yeah.
and start this. And again, don't be afraid to create one. And if for some reason, I mean, what you can do with these guys, I think
There used to be a way you could edit and then throw away something too. If you could go back and if you didn't like, you know, you hit something
Yeah.
by mistake. And again, they keep changing it. So I don't know how you can do that now, but you know, you could, there
No,
was a
thank you,
way.
Kathy. You can, if you hit edit,
Yeah.
edit, and then you're going to select, and you click right here. Here it is right here. So
Right.
you can go
And-
back and edit something,
Right.
and
Or you can delete it. Yes.
And you can delete it. So let's go back and let's create one. So I'm going to do this one right here, and I'm going to say, just put in some garbage, create. And now I'm going to go back and edit, and we can just get out of this. To get out of it, you click on this again and it makes it go away, but you go to edit and I want to select. So now select this one and now I can delete it.
Yeah.
And it says feature will be permanently removed.
Yeah.
And now it's gone.
Okay.
So practice. I mean, you know, please don't practice deleting stuff. But, but
No, you can practice deleting if you try drawing and it does.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
when
drawing's
yeah, if you want to
wacko.
create a whole bunch
It's
and
gonna-
then delete them.
it's going to
That's fine.
connect and you don't want it to, so you have to delete it. And that's what you just have to remember, where you can delete that one you messed up just doing the drawing. You know, you're not even doing anything yet. You're just trying to draw the diagram, you know, so.
Yeah. But this is where, like, we've literally given you the keys to the car, because technically you could go in and delete all this stuff and you could wreck the car, but please don't wreck the car. So just do some practice runs. And if you get into an accident, we'll forgive you. So, and we actually have a backup of all this. So, you know, if something bad did happen, you know, you lost your mind and deleted things, we'd be able to recover things. So,
Good.
but yeah, I'd say start practicing. And, you know, what you'll do now that we're in this mode is when you're working on in Slack, instead of putting your questions into relabel, can you all see the Slack form right here?
Yeah.
Start putting it in
Go into
digitize.
digitize. Yeah.
So I'm going to say, hi, everyone. We are officially starting to digitize the North Kitchen. We had training today and are rocking this out. I don't know, something cheesy. So whatever. And if you have questions, put it in here under digitizing, and then we can all, you know, start answering questions and start in this process. But and you know, Tyler and Margaret, if you know, I don't know, how do you all feel?
Pretty good. I think it's definitely an easy process, because it's kind of got the, well, I shouldn't say easy, but it definitely makes sense.
Cool. How about you, Margaret?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So obviously for that example, strat A was the top layer of just clearing. So it filled the whole unit square. But for the next layer where you start having shapes, is that where you want us to be drawing what that strat looks like?
Oh, yeah. You have to show her how to draw shapes.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next one.
And I guess too with that question,
Can I just also interject that actually, if we look at that example, the orientation of where north is a little different than normally, and then that's something that they should know about too. And
yes.
So I think the
twist
north is So you just to
you got to twist it in your head.
Yeah, you have to twist your head around.
Let's look at this is the stratum card for B, and you can see that in this case B is drawn in over this whole area. But what you also want to do is go back and check the opening for B, and in this case B, this is, like you said, this is oriented to the left. This is why they drew this map sideways. This is C and D right here. C and D is right here, and then B is all this material. So what there's a couple of things you could do to just so you don't lose your mind is in the map right here, if you right click, you can actually.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
I didn't know that either.
Oh,
yeah. And then we can zoom
Thank
in
you.
76.
I have actually printed out the maps from the strat card and twisted it.
Yeah. I am not emotionally challenged. I am emotionally challenged, but I'm like visually challenged. And so I need to have it like this to draw it. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go to edit and we're going to create a feature. And then we're going to draw this in. So, and again, do your best on this. So layer B, is like about so. This isn't quite halfway down, but get it approximately right.
Perfect.
Yeah, that looks good, Matt.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
We need that reinforcement.
Close enough for government work.
Close enough for government work. So that's layer B. So this is 1476 stratum B. It's not a feature. And this is, if we go to stratum B,
Kitchen.
DuPont kitchen, and then keep on going. And I'm going to save this one and then create. Somebody can go in and start, it's complete this guy. So somebody can claim this one and, you know, keep on doing 1476.
What does B look like on the card again? Could you scroll down?
On the card? Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
looks like
okay.
that. Kind of, you know,
Yeah, see, it's
sort of.
it's different than on the photo a little bit, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
what you can do is if you decide you want to change this, click on edit, turns it on and off, and you can select and then click on this. And this, I need to fix this. This is so annoying. It doesn't have the letter, but I think
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
one,
you have to
Have to click it, yeah.
click every time. Yeah.
and then you can edit your shape. I think if you click right there.
Yeah, normally I try to
Yes.
put what's on the card, the field card.
I'm with you because the field
Because
card
that's what,
is,
you know, again, that's what we're supposed to be doing, right?
I'm with you, Dean. I would go off of what's on the field card. So I just edited this.
Unless for some reason you just couldn't get it off the field card, then you could use the photo, I guess. But you know.
Yeah, if the field card somehow was the bottom and there's nothing shown for B, then you'd have to rely on the field photo. But I'm with you. I would use the field card for this. So
I like this the way you got it now, except there's a little piece at the top you can't get. Well,
right, I'm scooting this guy over.
that's where I bring my 1-year-old granddaughter in, and she
Yeah.
You can get into this. It's fun stuff. So it's a little
It
bit.
is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, if you forget to re-rotate that back, does that mean when we go into it later on, it's still rotated incorrectly?
no, because when you're in the save, I think you can't save this because you're not logged in. And so when you open this back up, like, let me make sure I save this. You can save update. Remember, always do update when you do edits.
Right.
And if I do refresh on this, it's going to go back to the way it was. In fact, it's going to go back to the bunker.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so it'll reorient itself. But again, to reorient it, you just right click and then drag this and
Yeah.
rotate it. So gonna have some fun with that.
With the features, they're just going in that same card, right? There's no differentiation in colors or anything with features.
It's the same one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what gets recorded in terms of features is the fill. It's what's excavated. The actual cut, and there's a feature summary card for that. That's going to be recorded in a whole different layer of information called the feature class. And so that'll be, so there are forms in here in the directory that are not going to go into unit stratum because they're not unit stratum, like the summary form, like we were talking about.
Right.
We'll probably want to put this information into the layer right here for units eventually, but we haven't done that yet. And that we might go back and do that. So.
Yep, Matt, for free features, on some of these, it has, the cards have like MT1476, F973 or something for the feature. Do you put all of that in there, the letter and the feature number? Do they both get reported?
For that, put in what's in your purveyance field or this Google sheet. Use the Google sheet as your guide. So for this,
There's any features.
do I have feature on this? I need to add feature to this. But for this, I don't think we have any features listed because what we did, starting in 2008 is we started assigning a letter to every single excavated strata, whether it was a feature fill or a unit strata, and it's sequential. And that way you can see the order it goes. The problem with putting in the feature number, if it's before 2008, it's the little a, you know, the A, B, C, D that are lowercase. And the problem with that is, like, if you're on layer D and you find a feature, it gets labeled MT 1476 feature 231 little a. And then when you list that in order, since it's F, it'll come after either F or E. And so it's out of order. So that's why we started just to keep on assigning letters, uppercase letters, to all the feature fill. So in the end, it's all shown in the order it was excavated. And so for this, after 2008, when we stopped putting in the lowercase letters, we gave an uppercase letter to every single thing, and we're not putting the feature number in there. And if you have any questions on that, just ask in Slack. So any
Okay,
questions
so-
on this?
So there's also, but on those cards, there's also a section that says associated feature. So we don't put that in the feature field either. We're just going by the letters.
Let's see, for 1476, let me see if there's any features that were excavated in this one. Shoot, this one does not have any. Does this have a feature?
No, but some of them, see that field that says feature associate, ASSOC, about
I know the one you
mid-page.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
feature. If there's a feature, put in number, and that's going to be up here.
I just want
that
to make
would
sure we
only-
don't translate that to the map. We don't put
Yeah,
that
if-
in the feature field on
If
the
a
map.
feature is listed up here, you'll put that in that field. And
Okay,
if you have questions about that, just let me know. And because each one is going to be different. There's, unfortunately, until we get to the 2010 season, there's a little bit of mix up that's happened in the field work. And so just ask for clarification on that. Or if, you know, I'm not there to answer it, just put it in the problems folder, and I'll get to you on that.
Another question, Matt, while we talked about the summary sheets, that don't worry about that. That's for the future. Same thing with like profile wall photographs, profile wall drawings, same thing. There've been cases in the past where I thought, man, if I put into the description a link to this, it would elucidate this whole thing so much better. But then I thought, no, wait a minute, we're really not supposed to refer to a profile photograph, a wall photograph or drawing. Is that true? Just forget about it, like they don't really exist. They'll be dealt with in the future.
I'm going to show you what Nathaniel and Lizzie worked on.
Oh, okay.
Is just that, is there's
All right.
there's a feature class called profiles. So see how this map is changing?
Yeah.
Let's see, get this north is up. And feature, where's profiles? So when you click on this, you have to get to the feature one. Oh goodness, there it is. So this is the profile. This profile right here is described all right here. So the photo, the drawing, and the photo are all right here. So there we do record that. It's just in a totally different layer.
Okay.
And
So
if you
we don't worry about it right now.
don't worry about that right now. You go to the story maps, and I'll put this in the chat.
It's not going to get missed, in other words.
No, it will not be
Okay.
missed.
All right. Okay.
Like if you go to these, this one, profile and elevations, like these guys, this is the profile drawing, and then here, this is the profile photo, and here's
Right.
the drawing.
Okay.
And so these are all, this is a
Good.
totally different stratum, or different grouping. And I'm going to put in the chat the link to this. So if you click
No
on this link in
worries.
the chat, you can play around and see where we're going with this. So all these guys right here, like this, I don't have the opening photo downloaded yet. And what I've been trying to do, but we've had, the past month, we've had other political things coming up that have distracted me.
Yeah.
I've wanted to download everything from the bunker, from the oh goodness, I'm fighting myself in this map. The story maps are hard to manipulate. We have all of the profiles that were done. Let's see, profiles. Yeah, so here's all the ones that Lizzie did. All these guys. I'm gonna get all these downloaded and into our server, our cloud server. So we'll have all these profiles and photos and drawings uploaded and be able to link them into these story maps.
Oh, that's
So-
great.
So that's going to be
Good.
my happy place when I get to download all the Google Drive and then make the links from the photo names that you all listed or the file names that you all listed and get all this stuff live.